Hi, everybody. It's Lori, and I have some friends joining me today. All of these people I have just met, and well, actually, just met virtually online, but we've been chatting and in groups together and so on and so forth for a while now. And I was invited by them to join them on one of their chats, and I'm very pleased to do that. And I wanted to just go ahead and broadcast it live since, we had the opportunity. We're all, so far that I know, all flat earthers, but we're all non-circle flat earthers. So interestingly enough, there are divisions within the flat earth community. And it's a good thing and a bad thing, but we're trying to make the good side of it, and that is by communicating with one another in the across the pond, I guess you would call it, and see what each other's doing as far as research and looking into things. So that said, hi everybody. If you would please introduce yourself to the gang watching, and we'll just chat. That's what we're going to do.
Okay, I'm Karen. So
Hi,
good
Karen.
evening, everybody.
Okay. And Karen, you live in UK, correct?
Yes, I live in the UK.
Okay. All right. And
yeah, I feel it's heartland actually, but yeah, live in the UK.
And what is your Facebook group is called what?
Called Flat Earth and Moonlog by the Real People.
Okay.
So we're a research group gaining information, recordings, and in a safe, free zone.
Okay. It's a private group, right? Or is it secret, or what do you call it? It's not closed. Is it secret?
Yeah, at the moment it's secret because we're researching, and everybody is happy then leaving their information because it's secret.
Right. And you don't have any globe trolls, and you don't have any people who, if it's not their way, it's the highway kind of disruptors in the group. I'm a member of this group also, and there is some awesome research going on there.
Obviously, we've had a few difficulties, but we've got past those now.
Well, if you're in the flat Earth community, you have difficulties because if it's not one side coming at you, it's another side. Or, it's not always just the globe trolls too. It's people from inside. Okay, so describe some of the kind of research that you guys are doing. Rochelle, you want to talk, because Karen's lagging just a little bit. Maybe she's dragging her bandwidth not too good.
Hers lags, generally lags.
Okay.
It's very rare that I see her video straight on. So I'm Rochelle. I live in Tucson, Arizona. I'm a kid still. I'm 27. So I came to this. I've only been doing research for probably around 4 months. I started by researching the opposite side, the people that want to control us. And I looked at what they know, and then started observing things for myself, and came to the conclusion that the Earth is definitely flat. We don't live on a globe. We've been lied to a lot. My family is a family of inventors and scientists. So telling my family that I'm a flat earther is a big no-no, because I will be cast out of my family. So I really appreciate the fact that the group is private, at least until I have some intense proof for them. Because without proof, nah. And there is some very, very good proof out there, but whenever people have cognitive dissonance of that level, it's hard to present it to them in a way that they'll accept. And I had to go through that myself, so I understand it. Understand what they would be going through.
Right.
The research that we're doing, Cirrus, put together a program. We asked him if he could help us because he's a genius, like literally a genius. He has an IQ of like 150. He is putting together a program that logs whatever data we can collect, the sun and moon greets and leaves. And we're trying to put together a map because we realized that the map that we were working on was totally wrong. We debunked it in several different ways, several different times, and the person that had presented it to us was upset about it. So we got together and started all over again fresh with pure observation. So this program that we have, right now we are just logging data and putting it in. And we're using Google Maps, the military map that they use, in order to calculate precise distances for plane flight and stuff like that. And I think perhaps from this point it would be better for Cyrus to explain it because he's the genius behind it. But
Okay.
that's the basics I have.
Okay, Cyrus,
Cyrus?
let me unmute him. I think he got muted, so let me unmute here. Okay. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Okay, hi.
Yeah. Well, when you record data of what we actually observe, I can put it in any map possible, but I have to develop all the several ways we know about by now. I've seen a few since everything began. For now, I'm basing everything basically on the global map from Google Maps, because that's the easiest tool to do it at first. Later, the UTM map, where we can put in straight lines instead of those bent lines every time, and actually pinpoint on the UTM map what all the observations will put out. All the triangling of the same moment exactly is what we actually want to record as much as possible.
Right. And so when you are talking about recording the group, the sun and moon greet and leave, and most people aren't familiar with that term, those terms, that represents sunrise and sunset, moonrise and moonset. But we don't call it that anymore because it doesn't actually set. So, and it doesn't actually rise. So we're trying to use new terms. And the idea is what? You're gathering this information from not just one location, but multiple locations through all the different members of the group.
As
Correct?
As possible. As much
Okay.
positions as possible.
And so,
Locations.
right. And you're where, in Holland?
Yep. The Netherlands.
Okay. And so we have people in a group that are from a lot of different places across Earth, like what? Australia, United States, Canada, UK. Do we have anybody in South America that's been reported?
No.
Oh, sorry. Rochelle, I think you got muted. Okay, try again, Rochelle. No, you're muted, I think, on your end. Try unmuting. Now, we've lost your sound, so you might have to drop out and come back in. That happens. Okay, so the idea of trying to make a map or a model based on observation only, and you're using Google Maps, and you're saying military, what is it, UTM, UMT? Okay.
UTM, military
Right.
UTM map.
Okay. Rochelle, can I hear you now?
Can you?
Yes, I can.
Okay, cool. So Stacy started a data mine group, and she has people, I think she has someone in South America, someone in South Africa. We have someone in New Zealand. And the reason why we have emphasis, why I'm emphasizing the Southern Hemisphere, so they call it, is because the observations are completely different down there, completely
Right.
different. And it's incredibly important if you wanted to triangulate the position of any celestial object to have somebody from two very distant places observe the same thing at the same time and log the angle and the time. And then you can find the true position of an object. So with the Southern Hemisphere, for example, I got a SunGreet recording that was southeast from New Zealand yesterday. How is that possible if Karen's getting it from north in the UK?
Well, I have the beginning of an answer for that. And because we've been noticing the same things, and it cannot be ignored. And for a long time, flat earthers have been doing everything they can to ignore information that people report and saying, oh, you know, you just think you see that, or show me your evidence. I want to see your, you know, your compass in your camera and everything all pointed in the right same direction and everything. And we've seen time-lapse videos of both north and south with what appears that the sun is making a circle. And since we know, even if it were the AE map, it couldn't possibly be making a circle over the north and a circle over the south on the AE map. So that automatically kicks out the AE map. But the idea is when you understand that the sun is appearing, it's apparent that it is being seen farther north than the Tropic of Cancer and farther south in the Tropic of Capricorn, then something is happening either anomaly-wise, or we have Enoch's gates involved, or we have, we use the word Pac-Man, because Pac-Man goes off one side and comes back on the other, and that appears to happen in certain cases. And so these observations have to be figured in to the, you know, the whole equation of not only is it flat, but what's surrounding us that's making these anomalies appear to happen. And that's why some people say, well, it's the dome. And then that opens a whole nother discussion. Sorry, I'm not a domer, okay? I do believe that we have a celestial ceiling, and I do believe that for the most part, it appears to be flat with about a 23.4 degree angle to it, which is how they got away with that whole tilt of the earth game they've been playing on us for a long time for the season thing. And so these observations that are coming in are vital to our ever being able to understand not just that the earth is flat, but the realm itself that is either surrounding all of this or making it appear to look like it's surrounded one way or the other.
That's exactly right, and that's why we're calling everyone we possibly can for whatever data they can give us. Even if it's the middle of the day, shoot it, give it to us, because we also record the angle it is in the sky from the horizon and what time of day it is. Everything, anything helps at any time for this model.
Because, I mean, I was on a thread one day where a guy from Ecuador said that he was facing south and saw the sun setting southwest from him, okay? And it was kind of like one of those, well, that's impossible. So someone on the thread said, you know, dude, are you drunk? And do you not even know what direction you're facing? And this is a flat earther to a flat earther, right? And so we have to stop that. We have to stop attacking from within and listen to these observations, and of course ask for, because anybody could say anything. I mean, we do want some kind of video or pictorial evidence to show that what they're saying is actually what's happening, because anybody can make up anything. And, you know, I'm sure at this point there'd be all kinds of people making up all kinds of stuff. So we really do need to have clear evidence. But we've come to a sort of a model that we have been working on, and I'd like to hear you guys' input on it. And I don't know if you've even heard it before or have hashed it around in your group, but based on the maps and models and so on that we have used as far as triangulation of cities, airports, flight distances, flight times between triangulated cities, the map that we came up with that most matched the flat Earth was called the Collignon map. It's a diamond. It's an elongated diamond. So I don't know if you've seen this or not, but that's where we started deciding to build our model on. And all of these strange anomalies with the sun are not a problem on this map with regards to the sun appearing to be south or north too far beyond the distance where they're supposed to be between the tropics. So is it Ceres or Cirrus?
Cirrus.
Cirrus, okay.
That's where.
How do you explain so far these anomalies that are occurring with the direction of the sun, greet and leave?
Well, yeah. I'm not having actually a clear answer on what I get from it. As far as I know, there are many different things counting in what is happening. Somebody came, for example, with a magnetical map with two south poles. So I was wondering, what is your north position and what is your Polaris position? And maybe there's a difference between the angles in those two, that you can point out a magnetical way of how everything is.
Are you referring to the two south poles based on what the map that Globebusters was putting out there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the magnetic anomaly thing. The problem with that, though, is that the star trails, absolutely, by observance, do not track with two south poles.
No. Is there? I'm still not sure if there is actually a south
No.
central circle visible. Seeing the map, the most far you can come in any continent below in the south is way more near the equator than we can get at the north side. So I wonder what we actually could see from the south. So far, the videos I've found so many fakes in the sense that you see first sunset going in a certain direction, and then at a certain point it's dark enough and you see enough stars, and then at a sudden stars start turning in a circle. I don't know. I know nothing from the south actually, and that's the data I really like to get in.
Right.
We have many.
You have seen, though, time-lapse photography of star trails, both north.
They're not right. They're
south.
lies, though.
North I can see. North I can easily follow through the night.
What do you mean they're lies, Karen? Explain, please. Because I've seen tons of them, and these are independent people taking time-lapse photography.
Well, I live in this really sort of unique place where Polaris is basically almost above my house, and if it's the only you can go on is the Big Dipper. If you take that one on its own, this south to north, and as it gets to the north side of, it starts bending and changing shape. And then the back of the star comes up like maybe 45 degrees out and round, and then the star picks itself up, or whatever you want, those stars, the Big Dipper, and then it goes from west to east. Then it goes around another corner, not a circle, around it goes north to south, and this goes like square round my house. If it's the only star that you can use on that one. And so how could that, when the star is bending and doing other things, can you have a complete circle?
Well, okay.
It's not moving away, it's just a round.
Okay. Let's take this for an example. Okay. Wherever you live, or wherever you're observing from, you're going to obviously have a different pattern in the sky. That's one of the reasons why we're able to use the sky to navigate. And so when a person is, let's say, at the equator looking north, or a person's at the equator looking south, and they're going to do time-lapse photography, okay? I can show you award-winning time-lapse photography from New Zealand pointing south that shows perfect circle around what appears to be an imaginary star called Sigma Octantis. And people will argue and say that's not real. Well, if you've not done it and you've not seen it from that location, you can't call it fake, okay? Just like if I hear you say this, the moon or the sun seems to make a corner, that sounds pretty crazy, right? From my location in Florida, I never see anything that looks even remotely like that. But I couldn't even begin to call you a liar because that is what you see. That's what you're observing. And that's why I believe, okay, that's why I believe that these anomalies that we're seeing are not caused by anything except the sun and the moon being projections, perhaps, or concentrations of light coming through some envelope on the outside, and I don't know how to describe it, and I don't know what it's made out of, and I don't know what shape it's in, okay? But it's making observations for people that look like sundogs to one person, 8-star rays coming out for another person, circling or going around a corner for another person. So depending on your location, I do believe each person is observing their own version of what the sun and the moon are doing. So this is where it's going to be really difficult to make a model out of that.
Well, I came across this 4D map projection of a light body projection from Free Energy, and this also gives me an idea of how to project the actual position of where the projection of the sun or the moon is coming from. And
are you talking about the Free Energy channel?
No, Free Energy is a user of on YouTube, and he flat square 4D Earth. And
okay. That's okay. I think we're talking about the same person. Free Energy, FREEANERGY. Yeah, these just got the square model or the rectangular square model.
And I'm thinking what he describes as the 4D light projection. Well, yeah, I can make eventually a projection myself from all the observations we have in angle and height and etc. in direction and the tilt up in the sky. And
well, I'm looking forward to that because
that 4D calculation to actually project it in the upward direction where it ends in vertical line. It's
so
polygon form.
well,
this might be good to know. Whenever we approach this program, we also had to think of the idea, what if we get data that's incorrect? And keep in mind, we're going off of data. We're using compasses, and we're checking our compass with Polaris to make sure Polaris faces north for us, and then we'll take the reading, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going off of readings. It's really deeply math involved, meaning it's actually plotting arcs on a graph, on a map that we have that we're using as like a preliminary, and we're going to use it to adjust whatever needs to be adjusted to match observation. What happens if we come across bad data? Well, we have it set up so that if we get bad data, it'll be really obvious, and we'll be able to weed it out and then go back to whatever good data that we have, which is right now, as far as we know, everyone that's entering data is very trustworthy. And we've kept it that way for a reason. After all of the crap that we've been through with trolls and whatnot, we're making sure that everyone that's entering data is a trustworthy person and that all of the data is accountable. So Cirrus is literally doing calculus, geometry, algebra, trigonometry, every single kind of math you can possibly think of in order to match these up and write this program. That's why I'm like, this man is a genius. He's a genius. Gotta be a genius.
Well,
Gotta be.
let me just give you an example of something here, and this is just me holding a little piece of paper. Okay. Let's just say, for example, that this is this covering over Earth, and you can call it a firmament, you can call it the dome, you can call it whatever you want, but it's certainly not shaped like a terrarium, in my opinion. And but let's just say, for example, this would be north and this would be south, okay? And this would be the celestial equator, okay? The celestial equator is parallel to the terrestrial equator, all right? So this is the line in the sky. When you look at star trails, there's always the straight line, and that is in line with this terrestrial equator. And then the trails arc and circle down this way to north and down this way to south, okay? So just going on that observation. So when you've got somebody in the north and they live like maybe right here, okay, under right here, they're going to see the sun when it's going east to west in its celestial ecliptic. It's going to look like it might be turning a corner. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if the sun's inside with us, that's one thing. If the sun's outside in what would be called the firmament, or in it, embedded in it, we're going to be watching what would be its concentration of light moving from east to west, almost sometimes in a mirrored effect, as if it's going around a corner based on its location to the observer. Am I making sense? Okay, so if I live right on the equator, I'm going to watch that sun just go pretty much day after day. And I'm maybe going to look a little that way, or I'm going to look a little that way, but I'm going to get a straight sun path all the time. Okay. It's just going to be a little north or a little south of me. But if I live in one of these corners, and the reason why I use the term corner is because I am pretty sold based on calculations and math and triangulation and all that the surface area is either a diamond shape or an elongated elliptical square diamond. I don't even know what the term is. I'm going to make up my own name here pretty soon.
Can I just say one thing? Can I just say one thing, Laurie?
Sure, oh yeah.
When I was doing my research, I went and looked up all about Captain Cook, looked up about Captain Hall. And Captain Cook, his journeys he made, he travelled miles below South Africa, and he travelled thousands of miles New Zealand and all the way along to like Hawaii. He was
Right.
A
I've seen
little bit of
his
water.
yeah, I've seen his mapped out
Oh.
exploration paths. Yeah.
Captain Hall sailed even further. So there's a lot of water either side of the lands at South Africa and at least below up towards Hawaii. There is a lot of water there. Of miles of water before any edge or something.
Right. Well, okay. So look, all right. So that is one of the reasons why, in my opinion, see all of these ad hoc reverse engineered theories that they came up with to make us think we lived on a spinning globe. When you add in the one about circumnavigation, okay? You know, some flat earthers like Mark Sargent will say there's no shortcuts on a flat earth. Well, there absolutely are shortcuts. In other words, if I'm Captain Cook and I'm sailing west and I keep sailing, I'll come back to where I came from, okay? If I today want to fly from Los Angeles to Tokyo, which way am I going to go? Am I going to go east or am I going to go west? Well, I'm going to go the shortest distance, the shortcut. I'm going to go east. Well, on any square map, like the Mercator.
This is where the 4D map comes in with
Yes.
the east-west loop.
Right. Thank you. Score. We're already good friends. Okay, so this is where we came up with the term for Pac-Man. Are you familiar with Pac-Man? Did you have Pac-Man game?
Mhm.
Okay. So when you look at timeanddate.com as an example, they literally show you a Mercator map where when the sun goes off to the west, when it's halfway off the west side of it, it's coming on the east side, okay? Pac-Man style. And so they're in essence showing you the time loop, which is, I believe, excuse me, which is why I believe they came up with the whole idea for the international date line, where suddenly you're sailing along or flying along and you're suddenly in the next day.
Yeah.
So I take instead of shying away from these anomalies that are hard to understand on the flat earth map or model, I embrace them because these are real. These happen in the real world, not on a little pizza pan map, okay? And so you have to take these real life experiences and figure out how to mind map it, for lack of any other term. So you're right. Whatever we do has to include 4D because time is an element of the way the Earth works.
This
Yeah,
is awesome.
I think
For now, I
it's
have
like that,
the
isn't
global
it?
projection, but the 4D projection will be the angle where you look at, the height you have, and when it ends up in the 4D straight line up. And that is the position where the line should end in. But how to project a 3D thing, that's
Exactly. It's very limiting. Well, okay, so I'm sorry.
I know a few ways, but I have to test it still, and yeah, it's time. Give me
Well,
time. I can
take this idea into your thinking. Okay. For example, if the sun is on the outside, okay, of whatever is surrounding us, because I don't believe in the term infinity except for time, not space. Okay, so if you live in Arizona, you're going to see, and the sun's coming at you from the east, you're going to see the sun in some cases, depending on what time of the year and what time of the day and so on, you're going to see what looks like a sun that's small getting larger and larger as it comes in its celestial ecliptic, okay? Another person north of you, straight north of you, is going to see it differently because it's south of them. Someone seeing it leave, setting, is going to see it. Some people are going to see it get smaller as it goes away, and they're going to report that. Another person is going to go, no, it absolutely stays the exact same size. It does not get smaller where I live, okay? And I've watched the sun set, leave, over the Gulf of Mexico. I live on the west coast of Florida, and it's nothing but water. So I've watched it go into the water at the exact same size, and sometimes it gets bigger. And you're like, how can that be? How can it get bigger? But, and then people go, oh, it's refraction and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So the idea is observation is going to be tricky because observation based on every different location is going to be different. And that's why when Rochelle said, you know, if we get bad data, we're going to know it. There's a lot of different ways that algorithms that you're going to have to put in there to determine how close are they to the, you know, I guess I'm going to use the E word, the edge. Okay. We're not supposed to say the edge because that's something we get made fun of all the time. Where's the edge of the flat earth? You're like, fight me. And so there's no edge. Okay. And that's where that ice ring came in. The ice ring was invented. See, this is another one of those ad hoc reverse engineered theories. The ice ring came in to hold the oceans in because it's a big circle. So comparing where Karen is close to the edge of perhaps a portal, a veil, the firmament. I don't know how to describe it because I can't see it and I don't know where it is. But if it's closer to you than it is to me, our observations of what's happening at different times of the year are going to be radically different from one another.
Let's see. Let's record.
Yeah,
More data
well,
we
and
have,
that's
the
the
more we
idea.
know.
We have to be able to see what other people see. We can't just hear about it or have it described. We have to see it.
Put in the data.
I don't think a lot of people know that the Big Dipper changes. I mean, I was telling my friend Malk about it, and then he started to watch it and realised that star just completely changes shape for us. It
What,
does things in the
Polaris?
sky. Maybe not everybody else.
You're saying Polaris changes shape or the Big Dipper?
Big Dipper. I said the Big Dipper.
Okay.
Even in England, that the star is changing shape and going corners.
The
I mean,
relative
I can
distance
observe-
between the stars and the constellation changes as it moves. It's like this star moves a little bit faster, and then the next one moves a little bit faster and then slows down again, and the next one moves a little bit faster then slows down again.
We should actually have a night recording of every night through the year.
Well,
Time
You
lapse
know-
every night.
that's, and see, here's another thing. They're talking about doing a hot air balloon test again. Only this test, instead of looking for putting the camera on there to look for curvature, which none of the other 1,000 ones have shown any curvature. So why do we keep doing that? This time, they're going to aim this camera up, out to the stars. And they want to see how far the balloon has to rise, the altitude, before you can't see the stars anymore. Because this is another one of those anomalies. This is one of those things that makes me believe that all of these lights that we see in the heavens are either projections or concentrations of light coming through the celestial ceiling. I don't even like to use the firmament anymore because people get all wigged out about the firmament and it turns into the dome, and then I have to go say the dome one more time, and then we all fall down. And so the idea is that if you can't see the stars once you gain a certain altitude from the surface, then what does that say about the light of the stars? It says the same thing to me that it says about the sun and the moon, that they are outside this realm and that you have to be a certain distance from them to be able to even observe them. Have you guys thought about any of this?
Did
Yeah.
you see that it was put out, and someone put it on our group, that a German company are making stars and they can only go 60 miles up, which is about 110 kilometers. It can't get any further because this is it sodium or sulfur? I can't remember. What's salt made of?
Sodium.
So they just cannot go further than about 110 kilometers. That's it. The machine that they're using can. They just can't get any higher than that, which puts, if they're real and not projections, and below, above us.
Okay, well, when you say the word projection and when I say the word projection, I'm wondering if we're talking about the same thing, okay? When I say the word projection, I'm talking about from the outside in, and the projection that you're referring to is from the inside out, okay? And so they're not going to be the same, and therefore they're not going to cast the same anomaly or projection. And so if you're at a movie theater and you're sitting in a seat and they've got the projector behind you shining it on the screen, that's a projection from inside. If you have a screen that you're looking at and it's rear projected, okay, from behind, then it's kind of like reverse on the screen, but the clarity probably is a little bit different from back to front and front. You know what I'm saying? It's like rear projection televisions, okay? They're actually projected onto a mirror first and then back at the screen. And so the direction that my mind has started to go, and it's very strongly going there because based on all the observations that I've been looking at for nearly 2 years now, is that the sun and the moon are not actual physical objects inside here with us, that they are projected from out in. And so wherever you are, that's why all these observations are being skewed by different people in different locations, seeing the sun, the moon, and the stars at the same time. And that's going to be the trick. The first time that I got that idea was last year when we had the, what was it called? The eclipse that turned red. Was it called a blood eclipse or something?
Total lunar eclipse.
Yeah, but it turned red, or supposedly. And I saw it in Florida and went out and took pictures of it. And a friend of mine in South Africa, or a friend of mine from South Africa, got photos from another friend in South Africa at the exact same time of the exact same moon having an eclipse, being red. They were slightly different hues. That could have been the camera. But also, we saw the same exact moon, only that person's moon was about 3/4 turn upside down from my moon, okay? In other words, Tycho, the little belly button, was at 5 o'clock for me, and it was at like 10:30 for the person in South Africa. But other than that, it was the exact same moon, all right? In my mind, that immediately says projection. flat screen projection because otherwise, how could we actually be seeing the same face just flipped at the same time? It looks like we have a guest that came in to join us that I invited to join in this hangout, and this is Ronnie, Event Skeptic. Ronnie, say hi to everybody. I'm sure you've been watching up to now.
Yeah, hey everyone. Great work on all parts. Great open mind, great open sourcing. And enjoying the podcast. Great job.
Cool. Well, jump in and add it when anything strikes you. And so the idea is if it's a projection, if the moon's a projection and the sun is a projection as in a concentration of light, okay? And I use the word concentration of light kind of like a magnifying glass with the sun coming through, and then when it hits down here, it's like more of a spot. That's the concentration hitting on the firmament or the ceiling or the celestial ceiling. So that's where I'm going with my thoughts. And now I've talked enough. So Rochelle, how can we all help gain more data for you guys? Because you're already moving forward. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. What method of collection are we using to add stuff in there?
Just compass readings. I have a compass app on my phone that I point at whatever I'm taking a reading of, and I take a screenshot. We're incorporating angle, so height from the horizon, because that would be important if it were not a projection. If it were a projection, I think it could still be important.
It's still important, yeah.
It's still calculable to do something else, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So what I like to do is I like to take my phone and put it at eye level between me and the object, and then take the screenshot, and then check and make sure that the actual compass reading is right, because compasses work much better when they're level. So I'll do one for the angle and then one for the regular one, and then I'll take a picture of it, just to keep in mind, okay, this screenshot was for the sunrise or greet. It was at that angle, and it was at that northeast, southwest degree mark or whatever. And right now, I think we have probably around five administrators on the website entering data. And we have latitude and longitude, so we would need to know the name of the city and country. And then we can just look up the latitude.
Okay, so the person doesn't have to look up their own latitude and longitude. They just need to tell you where they are.
Pretty
basically.
much.
Okay.
Yeah. Latitude and longitude helps too. But we could do that side. That's actually the easy part.
Yeah, but you know what? This is another thing that I have found is very good education, re-education programming for each of us to do for ourselves. And that is to learn these kinds of things again, to start all over and kick out all the old data that we learned in school and understand how latitude and longitude works, where you are on the plane, who is equal to you as far as latitude, who is equal to you as far as longitude, names of cities, places, look up where other people live, try to figure out how to tell them to get from your house to their house using GPS, but your own internal learned GPS. And to kind of, relearn the environment, because all of those things are important as far as trying to understand what you're actually observing and how that observation and information helps others to use that data. So, Ronnie, do you have anything to add in here to this conversation?
Yeah, I do. You can see there's another way you can even step up your game. I definitely love the things that I've seen going on with tracking the sun and moon from your guests today. You can also take a protractor to measure the azimuth or the height of any object in the sky, whether it be a star, sun, or moon. And you just basically line it up with the level parallel to the ground. And when you sight the sun's rays or the sun's angle, you can then find your degrees. Do you guys incorporate this at all into your stuff?
I haven't needed to be honest. Most of the readings that I've done have been either noon, and I've just used my pitch on my compass for that, or greet or leave, which are 0.
Cool.
But that's a really good idea. Thank you very much. I'll keep that in mind, definitely, especially for people who don't have that on their compass.
It's really easy. Yeah, you just line it up, and then you see where the sun looks to the parallel, and then you can the protractor has the 1 to 3 the 360. It gives you then you can say, oh, the sun was at 142 degrees at this time, and it give you an even more precise azimuth.
Right. Well, I mean, I everybody knows, because I've said it more than 1 million times so far, and I can't add, so it's probably only 1,000. But I have a mathematical learning disability, so I have to use other methods than things like doing math in my head or whatever. So when I watch my, sidewalk out my front kitchen window, and as the year progresses and I see the shadow that my roof line, the eaves of my house make on my sidewalk, I can know if I woke up out of a coma, I would know within 6 months what day it is, practically, because I've been doing this so long and, really paying attention, because there's bricks. It's not just a sidewalk, there's bricks. But I know based on whether the sun is, my house goes east and west exactly. So I know how far south or north the sun is based on the shadow that it throws on the sidewalk right out from my front of my kitchen window. So even things like that, understanding the travel of the path of the sun between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. But yet, in the morning, if I get up early enough, which is rare, but I've done it on occasion, I can see this, and I live in, Florida. I can watch this the sun come up or greet, and it is, it's north of me. Okay. And I'm thinking, wait, it's the wrong time of year for that. So I also see those anomalies of the sun being farther north, because I'm still north of the Tropic of Cancer. And so it shouldn't be north of me, but yet it is. So when people say, well, it can't be, well, come here then and go look out the window, because there it is. And so that's why these measurements and recordings are so important, that at some point we're going to figure out where, what's the sun itself actually doing. And either it's in here with us or it's not, and either it's a physical object or it's not. And that kind of data, I think, is going to be vital in trying to come up with a model. Coming up with a map is one thing. We can map the continents and the land. That's not that hard. But then where does it end? And how far does it go? And where's the loop? Where's the Pac-Man portal? I hate that word. I don't even like the word portal. People start using it and it gets stuck. But where's the time loop begin and where does it end?
Well, you could just say a division, Lori. The dividing of the days is a better way.
All right. I'll go with that.
And I also like hemiplane. I struggled and fought with it, but it does express the north and the south on a plane better than...
Yeah, hemiplane has been one of those, Rochelle said hemisphere earlier, because, that's what we grew up with our whole lives. And when you start making up words and you're talking to people who don't know your vernacular and your nomenclature, then you look like what's a hemiplane? And then it's like all breaks down, and now we got to go into big explanations, and now we lost our momentum and so on. So Okay, so what do you think the group as a whole who are now outside the circle, okay? In other words, we don't think we live on an azimuthal, equidistant, Gleason, silly pizza pan map anymore. How do we use that information to strongly suggest to the rest of the flat earth community that it's bogus and that it needs to be kicked out, and that we need to stop arguing amongst ourselves about that, because anyone can debunk that? What do you guys think? I mean, do you think we're doomed for that information is so indoctrinated and implanted into the community that we're never going to get rid of it?
I don't think so. I think a majority of people came to Flat Earth because they started questioning what they were told in the first place, and they started looking. So if we can just continue that momentum, what I like to do is I like to question what they have now. So I'll say, if that's true, then how come blank? If
Right.
that's true, then how come blank? Just logic, simple logic statements. If that, then what? If that, then what? And make them question it. And then they have to look at it, and then they have to come up with something that works for them.
In a
My
perfect
theory is that it'll lead
situation,
us.
yeah, in a perfect situation, that should work. But what I am finding is that flat earthers who believe in their circle map and model seem to have accomplished the same level of cognitive dissonance and anger as the globers that we fight with every day, okay, which I don't bother with anymore at all. If I run up into a glober, I just pet them and go, that's fine. Just keep going. You just keep thinking that's all cute, okay? I don't even go with a really, are you that big of an idiot? I don't do that anymore. I did that back in the day because I thought I was pretty smug because I, saw that the earth was flat and the rest of these yo-yos didn't get it. But I don't think that anymore. So, but I do witness some serious, because I'm not well known, but I am well known as being anti-circle, okay? That I got stamped on my forehead. She hates the AE. And so...
isn't that the part of that society opposame of just controlled opposition?
Yeah, controlled opposition. You said that right. But the controlled opposition now has a cult of followers who regurgitate the same information that they give them. They spoon-fed them that with their flat earth clues and their Eric Dubé circle fancy videos and all the other flat earthers who've made thousands, millions, I think now, videos using that map and model. And I can't even share them anymore. If somebody makes a really great video with some really great points, and then I'm like, oh, good. Yeah, this really shows how the sun does this. And then da-da-da-dum, there goes that circle thing going around at the end. And you go, oh, damn, you almost did it. You almost made it. And then you went and screwed it up with that circle thing.
I came to a thing also. Let me remember, it's very short actually. Not divided, not conquered, not in chaos, not under control, not a circle, not a ball, squaring the circle though.
Square in the circle, yeah. Well, a lot of people though too, and this has also been an issue, came into the flat earth from a biblical perspective, and also from, Christian religion, that they've read the Bible and they've interpreted the Bible to say certain things like circle of the earth, as is just one of the several bits of scripture that supposedly supports this the pizza pan with the snow globe over the top. I mean, I'm trying everything I can to belittle it. I don't know if it's going to help or not, but the idea is, what do you want, Ronnie? Me to play that?
I'll
That's
have
an
to be
interest-
right back.
Okay. And so, what'd you say, Ronnie?
That's an interesting clip from a documentary about Flat Earth where they express the portal, but they do morph it into a little bit of pizza talk. Interesting, though. And what I was going to also say was Paul Scheft has been releasing videos debunking the AE map, too, just for the listeners who used to enjoy his work.
Yeah. Well, there's getting to be more and more every day. I mean, there's another, besides Flat Earth Conspiracy group on Facebook, and Karen's group, which is private, and you can't find it unless somebody suggests it to you. Am I correct, Karen? You can't even look it up?
Correct.
Yeah.
It's on secret.
It's a secret. It's a secret. But there's more groups like Flat Earth News is also Flat Square, and there's quite a few more YouTubers who have switched from circle to square or diamond, and the idea is, as long as more people are coming up with alternatives, and the only alternative I'm not interested in looking at is concave, or as Mr. Lord Christ, whatever his name is, comes up with, what's it called, cell Earth. I'm not interested in that either, because that would require reverse curvature. So one of the strongest ones,
Beyond the Poles.
Worlds Beyond the Poles. That's another book. Well, you know what? I've heard that is fictional. So, what have you read it?
It's the truth.
It's fictional, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, they can go together. You're right.
Yeah.
So the idea of is there more land beyond the poles? I certainly haven't ruled that out. I mean, I was a kind of an infinite planer when I first got involved in Flat Earth, and I've since sort of backed off on that. But the idea of there being more land certainly exists, and I think that that's been alluded to in multiple books and movies and mythology, which they like to call mythology, but it may not be. There you go. Fiction that actually turns out to be truth. But and the other one I don't go for is hollow. I'm not interested in anything to do with hollow Earth, because you can't have hollow if you have flat necessarily. The hollow is for the globe. So what's the name of the website, Rochelle, or Karen, or Cirrus? Where can people contribute some data?
Well, at first, it's so new that I truly have to figure out how. Well, basically, we have a policy of invite only, and coming into the Facebook group, being known to the people, and sharing your email with one of the administrators.
Okay.
So
it's by invite only, so that you can keep the data trustworthy, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's kind of a trust issue, I guess.
Well, I mean, hey, I'll be for one of the first ones to say the trust issue is really important, because all of you can testify to the fact that you've befriended people and let people into your circle and let people share with you and you've shared with them, and then you end up with a knife strategically stuck in your back and kind of puts a damper on that trust thing after a little while. I think most of us have in the truth movement and in the flat earth movement specifically have had more than one knife stuck in our back at this point. I got like a target practice on the back of mine at this point.
Yeah, you know what, Lori? I think I like the quote by Dallas Green from City and Color. He tells people you might as well save your scissors because you ain't going to cut our skin.
Save your scissors. Well,
I had a thought, an idea.
okay.
Well, they can definitely contact us, or they can contact you, and just let us know that they're interested in contributing,
Okay.
And that would be awesome. And then we can start adding the data in where we are able to invite people to come and make like a user profile to enter their own data if they'd like to, or we can enter it in one way or the other. But that's an option.
All right. Well, I can definitely be a go-between on flatearthconspiracy.com. There is a login sign up there, and or you can email me, and I'll try to pass the information on. If you're serious, if you have one little reading or something, it's probably not going to help a lot. But if you're serious and would like to contribute over some time, definitely info@flatearthconspiracy.com is my email, and I can pass along any information that you send me to these guys and see if I can't help connect you.
The program is on trial, and it's quite new, and the information is being added, but we don't want people going on there and just messing it all. That's why there's about 6 of us is there that's adding information at the moment.
Okay, so you're saying it's open source. Anyone could add information. Is that what you're saying?
Not at the moment, because
okay.
Series is off at the moment, the program. But eventually, it will be for anybody to add information who wants to add their readings.
Okay, well, that's good. I mean, everything takes time, but it's a start, and I'm glad to see people starting this kind of thing. I mean, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for those of you who are willing to do this kind of work, because I know how much work it is. I know it,
We want new members to our group, but we're a troll-free group where people are beginning to share all their information and share their reading, because they can trust the site that nobody's going to start being hot. We do want people to join, but people who want to research and give readings and so forth, things like that. That's what we want.
Right.
So we're not, the group suddenly isn't 10,000 people big. If
right?
we've got
and you're not
100
interested
people
in a bunch of memes either, correct?
Yeah. I mean,
if I never see another meme the rest of my life, I'll be okay.
Sometimes for a short, sharp message. But if you're going to explain things, you've got to have more than a meme.
Yeah, we can all testify to that. I've seen a few people's memes that are like, "What do you mean you don't get this? This is so simple." And you're like, "No." It's like, whew. Whatever that was, it's just sorry, didn't get.
Sometimes they fit as they can on that little meme. So you've got rows and rows, and you have to sort of blow it right up. Once I have to do that, I get a bit lost in the meme then.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what do you guys envision for the next 6 months in Flat Earth? What do you think? Give me some prognostications. What do you think is going to happen? You have any? Do you think we're stalled? Do you think we're going to get in some kind of media frenzy where all of a sudden they're going to start talking about Flat Earth more than they have? Maybe a new flurry by B.O.B. or Tila Tequila or Tyson dropping mics or any of that kind of stuff? Do you see any of that happening anytime soon?
My idea is we have data, and the data can't change. And no matter what model comes around, in every model we can project the data and see what is the outcome. And from there you can analyze exactly through every model possible to see what is the one actually functioning.
Right. Well, I agree with that. And I mean, I don't know if you guys have watched any of our other Hangouts. Lawrence Wright and I have been doing them for about a year, and we've been systematically questioning all of the dogma that Flat Earth has been built upon, specifically the map and model, but also a lot of the old Robotham dogma that is what most of Flat Earth is based on, especially that brought to you by our boy Eric Dubay, which has just been a regurgitation of his Robotham stuff. But so ladies, what do you guys see any resurgence of Flat Earth? I mean, I remember about a year ago from now, people were pouring into Flat Earth left and right. I mean, you couldn't count them on a daily basis how many new people were being added, and then suddenly it kind of slowed down.
People will see things like this and realize differently, because people like Crow 77, it took you so then further, and I don't understand why all these sort of what you would like to call these bigger flat earthers haven't come together on a radio show, or haven't explained to people that the moon jumps and does all these things. If we can notice this, why aren't these other people doing it? It's like they've taken you so far and then you've got another wall. People like us.
Because those people are predominantly either controlled opposition, as part of what started this whole thing nearly 2 years ago, or they've got too much to lose because they've got lots of videos with lots of views and lots of little streams of income coming in from these videos that they've monetized, and they don't want anything to change with regards to the model.
Yes, they've got lost in there. They haven't got lost in Flat Earth now. They've got lost in their pride and their ego and themselves, which is a bit sad, really.
Hey,
it's not where
maybe
it started, is it?
Maybe try turning off your camera for a bit, because you're lagging really bad, and we can hear your voice now that we've seen you. Maybe that'll make it not lag so bad. Try that for just a little bit. No, just turn off your camera. Go up at the top of the Hangout, and take your cursor up at the top of the screen, and you'll see a little camera. Click on it, and that will mute your camera. Maybe that'll give you a little more bandwidth.
My lagging.
Yeah.
You want me to take a picture off, yeah?
Yeah, just click on the camera icon so that it mutes your camera. There you go. Maybe that will help your voice not lag behind, because I think it's the camera that's dragging it down. You guys in the UK don't really have very good bandwidth. I've noticed that with Lawrence.
Is that better then?
Oh, yeah, much better.
Full audio.
Sorry about that then.
That's all right. That's all right. Live and learn. I've been doing these long enough now. I've kind of learned a few little tricks, but anyway. So Rochelle, what do you think? You say you've been doing this for about 4 months, and congratulations, because you've come pretty far. At least you didn't get bogged down in the dogma before you must have done your own independent research, which is more than a lot of people have done. They just watched other people's videos and then, consider themselves fully indoctrinated. So what do you see happening?
Well, I did start with other people's videos, but I started from the viewpoint of I see this how come that doesn't match? So that's how I ended up doing my own research after all. What I see is a whole bunch of side groups. I mean, if you look around and really listen to people, there's a bunch of different side groups all doing their own form of research. There are people doing magnetism, there are people doing the map, there are people doing the stars, there are people doing the sun, the moon. Everybody's doing their own little thing, and I think they're all going to come to their own consensus within the group, and then they're going to come out and be like, this is what we found, and hopefully all these different groups can get together and be like, whoa, mind blown, and try and incorporate little bits. And I think the smartest people are the people that take the most truth out of every little model that they can find and incorporate it into their idea, and then we'll just keep kind of cycling forward into the real truth. Yeah. But I think, unfortunately, just like we had to leave the globe Earth idea behind, we're just going to have to leave the new indoctrination behind, too, and say, well, if these people want to wake up and come to the truth, they do. But with globe earthers, we just had to say these people are so deeply indoctrinated that, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to come around to seeing that the Earth is flat. These AE map people are so indoctrinated that, unfortunately, I don't think they're going to come around to seeing the truth unless they really want to wake up. And I think that's just, there's going to be a division. There's going to be a strong division, just like there already is between globe Earth and flat Earth. And then the rest
it's not a whole lot.
Research.
Yeah, it's not a whole lot different than it was, has been in, like, say, the 9/11 truth movement. You know, you've got the Judy Woods directed energy weapon camp, and you've got the no planers, and you've got, I mean, there's just all these different people doing all this different research, and each one makes up their mind and they decide, you know, but it's amazing because with regards to the groups that I've become involved in, at one point in time, I went around and joined all the flat earth groups I could find of any significance on Facebook. And it didn't take very long before a whole lot of those were taken over by globers, for one thing. And then the other problem was, if you had a difference of opinion and someone posted something that you didn't think was truth with regards to flat earth, and you said something, it was like football tackle and you're the ball. It's like
Flat Earth versus sphere, you mean that one? Flat Earth versus sphere.
Yeah, flat Earth
versus
that one,
sphere Earth. Just
right?
So nasty on there.
Right, and so
you
get
filled up my Facebook.
Right. You
My
get
phone was
attacked
going
all the time, and then people, you know, once somebody smells blood in the water, then all the other people jump in and join in, and it's just a very uncomfortable experience.
You know what they did to me? You know what they did to me on there? Well, at the very beginning, but once I started to actually stand up for myself, then people left me alone. But at the very beginning, someone picked, because I had a picture of me and my daughter on there. They copied the part of my daughter, and they stuck her up on the site, and they said, see this girl here, that poor girl's got a as a mother, and they were swearing. I was gutted to see my daughter over the internet and them swearing about me.
I know it's become a pretty dirty game. There's no doubt about it. And so most of us who have sort of moved beyond that, I now belong to maybe a couple of Facebook groups that are reasonable research groups, you know, people who really are interested in digging in and learning about their Earth and their home. But also, one of the biggest fears that I've had, and I'm not alone in this, but I don't have that many friends and supporters in this either, and that is, if I can debunk the AE map and the circle pizza pan model, you know damn good and well the science community can, and that's just going to be a bloodbath when the day comes that they decide to annihilate the whole idea of flat Earth, even though those are of us that are out there who go, no, 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 we know that's not right. Okay. But the sad thing is because it's become the flat Earth theory is that circle with the circling sun and moon and dome over the top. Can't forget the ice ring around the outside. Because that's become the map and model for flat Earth, when someone knew that maybe I've been working on for months, trying to get them to just look at the information. That's all we're asking for, okay? And then they do, and that's what they get. That's what they see. If I have the opportunity to, sort of go, no, 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 don't go over there. You just look over here, because that's bad. That's like the bad part. But the problem was what happens is that's what they see. And well, they can debunk it too, because now they have no indoctrination, no cognitive dissonance toward it or against it. They just look at it as information and they go, really? And then you believe the sun goes in a circle? Well, no, I don't believe that part. Oh, and then you believe there's a big ice ring a couple miles high or whatever around the outside holding you. No, 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 I don't believe in that part. You see what I'm saying? That's where we're at. And unfortunately, that's where we're going to stay until enough of us can show the rest of us that.
We've noticed on our information that when everybody's giving us the Greeks or whatever you want to call them, the readings, that the sun and the moon aren't going in any sort of pattern, that it's jumping every day, it's moving every day. And they must know this. And they just completely lie to us all the time.
Yeah. Well, I know. I don't know what it's going to take to get this thing kicked up to the next level of intelligence.
Practice.
I mean, what?
Practice.
People like us keep talking.
Yeah,
the truth.
The truth.
They can't really debunk the truth. So.
No, they can't debunk the truth, but most of them won't listen. I mean, they won't listen like Globers won't listen. And it's very frustrating, very disheartening to try to show people some good research. And especially when you have people in your own community who are fairly well known, who call you out all over the place and make videos about you and call you a
surely
clown.
People watching the high altitude balloon going up and stuff like that, when they look out, when the balloon or the cameras is ever looking out, when does it ever see a circle?
Never.
Seeing like a circle.
Well,
you see a plane.
I could quickly respond to that. Unfortunately, our light and our vision is divided into a circle. So for Picard to say that it was an upturned dish is only because his perspective was in a circle around him, as the light body is sort of explained circular.
Right.
But the distance beyond his circle of sight is the question I'm after. And, the worst part about it, I'd have to agree with Lori, is just because you figured something out and you share it with people, you instantly become, oh, you're a know-it-all. Or, you're trying to tell us. Instantly people's backs get up and you're like, hello, I'm just trying to help, and that's what I want.
You get accused of having an ego or being smug. I'm sorry, Saras.
Yeah, walking your way of freedom, stepping on so many toes.
Right. Yeah, it's never my intention to step on any toes. It's just like, I'm like a little 5-year-old who just notices the first time that the leaves turn from green to orange, and I'm go, hey, look, isn't this amazing? And why does it do that? And then, it's like, everybody knows that, or the worst part is it's like, so they're dying. Wait, you can look at this good or you can look at this bad, and I mean, the whole process of learning is all started over for me. I don't know about everybody else, but I decided to not only question everything, but to question everything. And I can no longer trust any of the original information that was put into my head that created my entire worldview.
Yep.
Maybe people don't realize that all this was a shock to us too. We had to go through the denial thing and go through the whole process ourselves, didn't we?
Yes,
Yeah.
we did. And
The hardest part is your local community and where you are somebody, but yeah, you cannot talk about this because it's beyond their imagination. They can only
and there's that. It's beyond their ability to comprehend. It's beyond their imagination. And if that makes, there are legitimately, come on, there are some people smarter than other people. I mean, they just are. It's natural. There's some animals smarter than other animals. I mean, you can have a circus dog who knows how to jump up on the back of an elephant and do, twisty turns and ballet. Okay. And then you got this other dog that just lays by your feet and waits to eat and poop. Okay. So yeah, there's smart people and there's not so smart people. And one of the things that we've done over time is we've created this environment called technocracy, where the smart people run everything and the not so smart people let them. And then that's where we got into this problem of trusting smart people. So now there's sort of a pushback against smart people because all the smart people all, think they know it all and they're running everything. And so it is a catch-22. It has created a big problem. So I try, when I come up with an idea or some information, I try just to, just state it as yodi-do as I can. And if someone wants to ask me a question, I'll give them an answer. But as soon as you start pushing back and start attacking me and not the information, then we're done. We're just done right there. It's over.
That's the key. That's the key. If you don't think it's right, attack the information. It's an old debate strategy, and they use it in politics all the time. They try to debunk the person rather than what they're saying.
Right.
That's the key.
And that I've been a victim of that quite a few times, to where there's a I Hate Lori fan club out there, I think, just because I don't let people attack me personally. If you want to attack the information, then go for it and let's throw down on a debate or, a discussion. But if you're just going to attack me personally, then either we're done and you're blocked and I don't need to hear from you anymore, or, but I'm not going to go around all over everywhere and tattoo the internet and Facebook with your name and everything, the reason why you should be hated and despised. But
so what do you say for people who do that then?
I pity those people because I actually have a life. I mean, I have a nice life, okay? And my life doesn't include wasting my energy on people who I don't get along with or I don't like. There's going to be people like that all over the world all the time forever. People you don't like, people that you don't get along with. You got whatever clash is the problem. And sometimes there's no understanding the chemistry of it, okay? But I'm not this is an information war, okay? I am a warrior. I'm a truth warrior. That's what I do. That's what I am. That's what I like. Okay. I'm not interested in cult dogma or mythology or made up stories or any of that stuff. I'm only interested in the truth. And if we don't win, lies will win. And if you're interested in perpetuating a lie, then you and I are not going to be friends. Okay. And also, if you attempt to get in my way of getting to the truth, we're not going to be friends. And I'm going to try to bow out gently and bow out nicely and say, can we just agree to disagree? And you go about your way and I'll go about mine. If you can't have it that way, then block, done. Poof, you don't exist. I don't even think about you anymore. And if you want to go around and blast my name all over the place, be my guest. And anybody that wants to listen to it and not going to take the time to hear my side of the story or anything from me, be my guest. Couldn't care less, because I don't have time. Yeah, that's like an energy vampire thing going on. And Karen, I know that you've dealt with that. Rochelle, I know you've dealt with that. I know Ronnie has. We all have. It's just, I guess, part of the game now. It's just part of the dynamic of truth seeking, whatever.
The road of freedom, I call it.
Say again.
It's all about freedom. The road of freedom.
Yes. I declare my freedom.
In the sense of authority, religion.
Right.
And you're either an agent under the authority or free from that mind control.
Good for you. I agree. And I'm free of that mind control. And I don't allow anyone to make me fear, make me hate myself, question myself. I don't respond to shame or guilt that I don't own or I don't deserve.
The only way this is going to work, though, isn't it, is if we slowly all come together.
Right.
Then we'll be a force. It's not about one person. It's not about your ego. It's not about that. In our group, it's not about ego. There's not a boss, because we all kind of know what part we're going to do. We all know.
Right.
For you, Laurie, but we kind of know what we're the best at already.
Well, sure. Especially if we got any age under our belts or whatever. I've been doing this a long, long time, as you guys probably have too. So, I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm not good at. And, I have leadership qualities, but I don't use them because I don't want to lead anybody and I don't want anybody to be led.
It's going to work. Thing. And, if you're going to watch people just slamming and shouting and swearing and blocking, what's all that about? The only way we're going to get through this is if we keep communicating.
I know. I agree. So the message for this show, this hangout, is open communication, open source sharing of information. Keep your ego in your pocket and just try to remember the little golden rule about treat others the way you would be treated. And I know, respect. And if you can't respect someone, then just get away from them and go your separate ways. It doesn't behoove anybody.
Now there doesn't seem to be much respect or communications. They've got us looking at the televisions. They've got us taking in all those positive ions. They've made us zombies. They've stopped us looking up in the sky.
They've been at this for a very long time, Karen. They've got this down to a science. They know every single group, subgroup, organization, club, party, membership. They know everything about everybody, and it's very easy for them to go in and go, if I make this person do this and I get this person to react this way, and then I take these two people and I hold them up in front of everyone else, and everyone else sees the drama, then it becomes like viral, that drama. And that's what happened last summer in the flat earth community, all the drama. You're a shill. No, you're a shill. Shill, shill, shill. Everybody's a shill, shill, shill. I should shoot the shills. And before you know it, nobody trusts anybody anymore. And everyone suspects everyone. Okay. And in the meantime, they just sailed right in and they set up a perfect little scenario where everyone would be infighting, and there would be as many camps and divisions as absolutely possible. And I can even say that I'm guilty of some of that myself. I was one of the very first people that started with the no, I don't want to hear any more about domes. Okay, I don't want to hear the word dome. Okay, I know there's something surrounding this and all that, but this word dome has taken over everything. Every person says blah, 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 and under the dome and the dome. And I mean, I just got to the point where I just wanted to start shooting people. And so I was guilty of saying, really stop with the dome, because the dome means the circle and the circle means the ice ring and the dome's over the top. And anybody who does that whole circling thing is guilty of that dogma. So guilty. But if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have been able to just shut up and just, well, because I saw a train wreck coming. It's still coming. It hasn't gotten here yet. Okay. And there's the people out there who will say, you know, well, you're making it happen because you're the one who's stirring up the pot about the circles. And if not me, who? Okay, somebody's got to do it, because if I don't do it, or that Sally doesn't do it, or Joe doesn't do it, then I'll guarantee you Neil deGrasse Tyson's going to do it. Okay, and Brian Cox is going to do it. They're going to blow this thing right out of the water, and you won't be able to scrape the egg off your face, and you won't be able to eat anything but crow for a very long time, because you've already gone around and told everybody that you believe in the flat earth. And you've staked your reputation on it, okay? And I don't know about you, but my reputation is very important to me. And when and if this thing ever gets blown up, and they debunk, go on YouTube and look at the amount of views that Vsauce has for debunking the flat Earth. Just go look. And then go look at what he's using to debunk it with. And you will just shake your head and just go, holy crap, he's right. He's right.
Well, not quite, but close.
Well, okay. Not quite. You know.
But closer than the pizza
The inescapable gravity and all that other core, melting core, and that bullshit aside. Okay, that's globe stuff. But I'm talking about debunking what so many people call the AE map and model. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Millions and millions and millions of views. Let's just go look, shall we? Vsauce. Flat Earth. Okay, is Earth actually flat? Is the name of the video. Okay. Actually, we have an entire website based on it. Not really sure if you, no, that's not the one I want. I want the video. Okay, hold on, went the wrong direction. Vsauce, flat Earth. Ronnie's probably already got it. Debunked. Okay, guess how many views? I play like we're in a game show. How many views do you think that is Earth actually flat by Vsauce 1 year ago? How many?
2,500,000.
11,323,000. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So all of those people, if given the more true information or less of the crap, at least, okay, how many of those people do you think we might have been able to win over if they just would have been shown some observations and not some silly circle pizza pie map and circling sun model with a snow globe over the top?
Without changing the subject to something like what happened on 9/11 when you were talking about Dr. Judy Woods, for a long time they gave you information, then it turned into thermite, then it turned into cold fusion weapons. And the same thing has happened with Flat Earth.
Exactly. It's called a psychological operation. And the psychological operations method is to insert as much bullshit as you possibly can with enough truth put in there to make it plausible, okay? And get people to believe it, okay? Oh, that sounds pretty good. You know, Don't bother to check the information. Just sounds good. I believe it. Okay. And given to you from a trustworthy sounding source who sounds like they are confident, and their ability to, just flow that information right out there and answer questions off the cuff. And I mean, they're very well prepared and studied. Then before you know it, if you got this one saying this and this one saying that, and it's the same thing with the gatekeepers in the entire truth community. I'm sorry?
Because we've all believed, we've been into space and been to the moon. That's
Sure.
how much trusting they've got from us, and all that isn't true.
Sure. And we also believe that, the wars that were fought from all the way practically back to the beginning of time were actually created because some people were arguing about something, okay? And most of the time you come back later and you find out, oh, no, that was a war for oil, or that was a royal, yeah.
Realize that the real Israelites are the black people.
Well, I mean, look at how many different, you got race, religion, culture, creed, history, patriotism. You got all of these dividing type inputs that people have been indoctrinated and programmed with slowly, okay? Unless you're willing to kick out all of it, you can't just kick out this and this and this and selectively keep these few things, okay? Because those few things will talk you back into some other wrong thing, okay? So in other words, you can't believe that America is the strongest country on earth and be anti-war at the same time, because the only reason why America is the strongest country on earth is because we've been at war almost the whole time with somebody, okay? Even among ourselves. So that leads to the military industrial complex and yada, 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 right?
And he just started to tell us the truth about the pyramids, if you understand. Like, what the pyramids were there, they were burial chambers, but they're not. They were making electricity. I found out that there's probably a white pyramid about 20 miles from me. It's called Silbury Hill. But now they've looked into it and excavated it and stuff. It actually looks like it's a white pyramid where the top's caved in. Well, there's a white pyramid 20 miles from me.
Well, look at it this way, Karen.
2016.
Look at it this way, Karen.
Pardon?
You probably heard of the Mandela effect by now, right? Everybody's heard of the Mandela effect. Why? When did that start up? Do you remember? Right about the time Flat Earth started up.
Yep.
And you know what else? They started changing all kinds of information, and then started quickly making people think that they've lost their minds or that they have different memories than they have, okay? You can't go and change a book that someone's had on their bookshelf for their whole life. Come on, there's no alternate universe time warp thing happening here. It always was whatever it was, okay? Nothing just magically changed.
Yeah.
The problem that happened is that your memory has been altered, okay? Not the physical thing. So for those people out there who think that the movie case that they have on their shelf, with Interview with the Vampire, and then someone says, no, it's Interview with the, not and then you go, no, I remember the, and then this person goes, no, I distinctly remember and then here's an argument, and at the end of the day, which one's right? The one that wins is the one that's right. It's the same way they've altered history and our belief systems and everything else. We don't even know if the pyramid, they say, oh, the pyramids are blah, 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 so many years old. And you go, oh, okay. How do you know that? especially when they start saying things like this thing is millions and billions, and then you go, how would you exactly know the difference between a million and a billion? I mean, a million's like a really long time ago, and I can't even imagine a whole lot of something changing between a million and a billion.
I know some way they've done it. What it is the guy that made the history about the White Pyramid, what it is that they've decided to use a time in history. They've made it, say, 100 years old. Say, that doesn't mean it can be hundreds of thousands of years older than that, but that's a point where they go to, and they don't go beyond it. So they'll always say 4,500 years old.
All right, let me tell you something that just happened to me a week ago, okay? Lawrence and I were doing some in-depth research on the Gleason map. And we were taking it apart piece by piece. He was looking up all these spelling errors that are on the map, and there are a bunch of them. I mean, there are places all over this map that are spelled wrong. I mean, like way wrong, okay? And cartographers historically try very hard to make everything perfect. I mean, you know, it's just like editing a book. You don't want to have a bunch of spelling errors in a book because no one will want to read it. So on the top of the map, okay, it says Modern College, Blackheath, England. All right. And Lawrence looked up this months ago, Modern College, Blackheath, England. There was no such place. Modern College, Blackheath, England did not exist. It was Morden College. Okay, well, that makes sense because with all these other spelling errors, Morden and modern is just a typographical, error. No big deal. But it somehow just didn't sit right with Lawrence. And so he kept bothering to look at these different anomalies and problems associated with the Gleason's map. So a week ago, we did in-depth research digging into, down to page like 22 on Google, looking for Modern College, no, Blackheath, England, nothing, okay, except for associated with the Gleason map. The next thing you know, we make a video, we bust all this information out, talk about Morden versus modern, and so on and so forth. Days later, I go do a Google search on Modern College because someone says, oh, I spent like 45 seconds and busted you. There's a Modern College in Blackheath, England. I'm like, what? So I go digging back through the same internet, and sure enough, boom, there's books and all kinds of information about Modern College that a week ago, swear and be damned, was not there. Okay? Yeah. Now, they can add whatever they want to the internet, and they can timestamp it and backdate it and do whatever they want because they're freaking Google. Okay? So when you wonder about how this Mandela effect works, Sarah, tell me what you think about the Mandela effect. What are the permutations required for this much changing to be happening?
Oh yeah, personally, a friend of mine is actually believing it and searching all the effects there are. But what you said about things don't change, it's just our mind what has changed, and actually just our perception. The only thing what's changing in everything as we grow in consciousness, the more conscious we are, the more we see the difference. We see things, the same things on a higher level, you could say. Yeah, and the more you know, the more you see. Since Flat Earth came along, it was for me actually kind of a cherry on top of a big cake of lies. And it made for me actually a platform of what is actually the lie, and it glues all the puzzle pieces together. It's becoming a bigger picture now. Yeah.
Well, and you just talk about puzzle pieces. if you add a few extra puzzle pieces, and they look exactly the same way as some other puzzle pieces, same shape, same print, same everything, it makes it a little confusing to try to figure out, well, what does this puzzle turn out to be like, you know? And if you take a few out, it's even harder. It's like taking away dots and trying to connect the dots. If you got enough dots to make a rabbit out of it and you take away dots, then suddenly now it could be anything. Okay. So
somehow with the information, there's always some kind of thing what is happening with it. It's either pointing you to some kind of authority or just gives you the true information. And
right.
I'm eating everything, I'm getting all the information, and I truly see the difference between if they try to make me believe in an authority, or either they who are telling it, or who they present for the information. And people treat them as that, and I'm trying to be actually some kind of nobody, in the sense that nobody knows. Well, yeah, try to be nobody and know things, and
Right.
and try to tell what you see. It's like what I see is everything, and I have a bubble around me, what I'm thinking about it, and inside that bubble I have I can put it kind of in words. But inside that bubble I actually say things to people, and just a peanut of that is what people actually understand of what I see. And it's impossible to actually communicate it unless they are in the same visible side of consciousness. And yeah, many people are just caught in the games of ego, the ego stroking, I call it. And
Well,
I
it's
don't
either
need
that, it's either ego, or it's being entertained. I mean, it seems like they're either caught in
energy.
one side of that or the other.
Yeah. It's nice to have to get all those compliments, but it feels like actually the opposite of being ridiculed. And actually, I
Yeah.
want to be in balance and don't want to be ridiculed and don't want to be put on a pedestal high in the air. I'm just like everybody else. I just be more aware of it, maybe. But
So,
yeah.
Rochelle, you don't get to
Can I
call him a
just say-
genius anymore.
Oh,
What were you saying, Karen?
it's gone out of my mind now. Rochelle wants to say something. Do you want to say something, Rochelle?
Yeah, I've had a few thoughts since about 20 minutes ago.
Jump in.
Okay. Whenever it comes to dating, you guys are talking about dating millions and billions of years and the dates of the pyramids and how they jumped to this date or that date. The way they did it was they said, well, these fossils are all in one layer. So we'll say this layer is 1 million years ago. So anytime you find a fossil that looks like this, it's 1 million years old. This one's below it, so it has to be 2 million years ago. So this layer, anything from this that looks like that has to be 2 million years old. Oh my God, we found one just like it on the top. That layer's 2 million years old.
Right.
That's it. That's how they do it. It's
Very scientific.
very ridiculous. It's circular logic, and it can be broken down in a heartbeat.
Yep.
It's just how you put data together to actually tell a kind of story, but never actually find what it actually
with the
is.
Mandela effect. I told you I came to this through researching the people who wanted to control us. This is a classic tool of theirs. They will use suggestion, the power of suggestion, using keywords in conversations, or whenever they have you in an open-minded way, an open-minded frame of mind, so they can use, soothing music, tell you some truth, suggestion, suggestion. Pretty music, wrap it up, put them to sleep, and it's done. They can There's an experiment that I saw that was done using that method by somebody who knows about it. This is a Freemason method, a Jesuit method. This is a Roman Catholic method. It's well known, and it's been in practice for a very long time. What they did was they said, okay, so it's your birthday, and I bought you a birthday present. And you wrote down what you wanted, and you put it in this piece. You put it on this piece of paper in this sealed envelope with your initials and your signature on it. No one can touch it. It's your handwriting. You know it's yours. It's over there, right? And then they had a conversation about what they wanted for their birthday with this person. And by the end of it, the guy's like, so what did you write down on that piece of paper? He's like, oh, I wrote down a red bicycle. I really, really want a red bicycle. And they went over and they opened the piece of paper, and it said a jacket. You didn't want a bicycle. It was suggested to him in conversation through keywords. He even named the brand of bicycle that he had been given. And he was excited for it. And this is the kind of stuff that's in play in newspaper, television, conversation, everywhere, all the time. Mandela effect is mostly the power of suggestion.
Sure.
Mostly the power of suggestion. That's all it is. That's all it is.
That's all it is.
That because they haven't even told us the truth about our history, and we're finding bits out as we go along. I mean, I came across a post about these maps that were made around Turkey they said about 1,000 years ago, well before we ever had ventured out in the world, like say Captain Cook and all that. And yet they had the technology, and these maps are so well made. They're probably made better all that time ago than we've made them today. So it's worse than a Mandela effect because it's the truth in the first place.
Well, okay, so for anybody to think that flat Earth hasn't been manipulated, oops.
No. Sorry.
For anybody who thinks that flat Earth hasn't been manipulated, think again, because people don't just wake up. People don't just decide to wake up. Something wakes them up. Rochelle said she came into this because she was, checking out truth and authority and so on. I came into truth because of, a totally different reason. I got caught up in the foreclosure scam market that happened several years ago, and I started checking out how money was made and how banking was done and lending was done. Another person woke up because they got caught into the court system in some way, or they got arrested for something, or they got a divorce, and or they lost their job. There's always something that leads you to information checking. And once you go start looking, guess what? They have a gatekeeper all set up just for you, okay? And that gatekeeper has been designed for each individual kind of person who's going to wake up. So in the alternative truth movement, which we all think is real, which it isn't, there's a gatekeeper for 9/11, and there's a gatekeeper for, things like natural foods and medicines. There's gatekeepers for what do you call those? Patriots and the people that militias and people who are freedom fighters. Okay, each one of these.
But they don't want us to wake up, do they?
Well, they know you're going to anyway. They just make sure that they have a net set in place for you, that you will fall into this net or this net or this net. Okay, people who woke up to 9/11 woke up finding themselves in the net of Alex Jones, who was the 9/11 gatekeeper. Okay, but go on Alex Jones and say something about no planes, and you'll get kicked right off the whole entire internet. Okay, because that's not part of that shtick. Okay, so with flat Earth, people were looking for something else. Okay, now this is how clever it was. Where do 90% of flat earthers find out about flat Earth? On the little
YouTube.
side panel of suggested videos when they went on YouTube. 90% of them. This is flat Earth, blah, blah, blah. Or before you even sign in, they got the trending ones or the whatever, and all across the top, flat Earth, flat Earth, flat Earth. And you're like, what's that? What's that about? Okay. And you start watching videos. And whose videos are you going to watch? You're going to watch the ones with the most views because those are going to be the popular ones. I'm going to watch that one because everybody must know the right ones to watch because these guys got the most views, right? So that would have been Mark Sargent's Flat Earth Clues. That would have been Eric Dubé's, 100 Reasons or conspiracy, Flat Earth conspiracy movie or whatever, okay? Or it was going to be Matthew Powerland. If you were a little arty-farty type, you were going to go over here to Matt Powerland and you were going to get his videos. And before you know it, you are being indoctrinated into that particular method of thinking about flat Earth.
We
What do you
probably
guys
all
say about
started
that?
a bit like
Do
that.
you
though,
agree or
didn't we?
not?
I don't know. We all started off a bit like that. It's probably what I was doing was watching all those videos, but it's the last place I go now.
Well, now that you know,
It's the last place I go.
but it was the first place, either that or maybe you went to a blog that popped up on your Google search somehow. I mean, it wasn't you looking for flat Earth. Flat Earth found you.
Yeah.
Do you agree with me or not?
Funny video in a wake up group. I am on Facebook.
Wake Up group. Yep. And somebody inside the Wake Up group posted something about flat Earth, and you thought, well, I'm going to go check this out. This has got to be some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were actually talking about until I saw the videos and material, and then it started for me to actually think about it.
And the first thing that you thought about, that you saw, that you could observe for yourself, what was it? That proved the Earth was flat.
Actually, the everyday things of curve and the
Curvature.
visibility of islands,
There you go.
distance over the sea. It's just impossible to see them without disappearing behind the curve and finding out how the perspective actually works on the far distance.
And how many video makers today?
The mirroring everything what's above it, so and everything behind this visual perspective focus point is diving into it. The
Right.
further they go.
Line of convergence.
Yep, and that's it.
And that should have been enough, shouldn't it?
Well, yeah, the whole line up to the horizon is just a straight line. There's nothing bending.
Right. Rochelle, how about you? What was your clicker? The thing that clicked you into, oh wow, this is flat.
Literally just looking at it. In Arizona there's a lot of mountains.
Right.
Well, I have a chance to get up on a high hill and look out at the horizon and see that it's flat. It's that
Right.
simple. It's that simple.
Well, I live in Florida, and darling, it's flat. It's flat everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
It's really, really flat. So yeah, it's curvature. It's the number one thing that is once you start to look and you can't find any, then it's the clincher. Okay. And so yet, how many videos are designed specifically to drive that home and to talk about curvature by all these video makers out there?
That's almost
Not very-
exclusively what I watched whenever I came in.
Okay.
That's almost exclusively what I watched.
Do you know there's only Mark Sargent's clues, for example? There's 12 clues. Do you know how many of them are about curvature?
I don't think any of them were.
None. Not one. Okay. So when you got involved in flat earth and you started looking to debunk it, to make fun of it, and to, say, because I'm a truth seeker, I have to question everything. So I have to question this too. And mine was, I went out and filmed the red boat video. I get to mention it because I haven't mentioned it for a long time. I got accused of mentioning it every time I was on, and it wasn't true, but I did mention it sometimes. But I made this video, the red boat video, and I followed a freighter down the bay, Tampa Bay, and just let the film run for 25 minutes. The freighter got about 11 miles away. The bottom of the freighter disappeared into the line of convergence, but it was literally floating above the horizon line. Yeah. Okay. And people said, oh, that's just whatever that thing's called, when it's
can't remember.
Probably refracting thing out there. No, the fake thing out in the desert, oasis out in the desert.
Mirage.
Oh, mirage. Okay.
Is that what you meant?
Right. So everybody's like, oh, you just got a mirage. The boat's actually missing below, the whole bottom's below the curvature. Like, the boat is at the same height it was the whole time it was going. I mean, it's the same height off the water. The only thing that's changing is what the mirror effect at the top of the water is. So don't tell me that this boat just went beyond the curvature, because I can zoom out or zoom in and I can bring it back. Right? That was all I needed.
Effect with the road, what is heated, and you see in the distance that it's mirroring the air.
Same thing. The desert, the road, right. So physically I saw the boat, and that's all that needed to happen. I could still see the top of the boat. And that was it for me. I didn't need to make another. You only have to make one curvature experiment per person. Yeah. Okay. And that's all you ever need. Or you can watch somebody else's or 20 of somebody else's and kind of use that as, okay, this is the equivalent. If you can't go do it yourself, this is the equivalent. And beyond that, nothing else matters. That is enough to show that you've been lied to, that you do not live on a spinning globe. And then that's where the record scratches across the record and says, now what am I going to do about this information now that I have that I've been lied to? Blatantly, repeatedly, purposefully lied to. And that's,
yes, we sure.
Yeah. So what are you going to do about it? Well, what I'm doing about it is I'm trying to show other people the lie. Okay. And if I can show as many people as possible the lie, it isn't about maps and it isn't about models.
You've got to get people to think, to actually really think. I mean, the one thing, I know of this thing about NASA, but I thought the other day, just very simply, like, billions of pounds, or dollars, should I say, in tanks and all this kind of stuff. But if it's a vacuum of space, why didn't they make a vacuum? Any of these experiments they're doing down here, or practicing in some kind of vacuum, they're in water. When you actually just think about that, doesn't it tell you the truth? Not a vacuum. And there is no space like that anyway, but space can't be a vacuum then if they're training in water. It's so simple. Like, why aren't we thinking this? Why don't we see this? Why don't we realize this?
Well, I mean, even the word space is kind of, silly when you think about it, I mean, space. What does space mean? You go in somebody's apartment and you go, oh, I really like your space. It just means where you live, Or if you're out in the middle of a big field, you're in open space, okay?
Do you know what? All someone has to do is get a couple of NASA videos of rockets taking off. I've got an iPhone, so you can keep clicking the pictures as the video goes through, get to the separation of the tanks. Then what happens is The thing basically blows up and a ball comes out the other end, and then the NASA people go, and there is the shuttle going off into outer space. Is a ball.
Well, I mean,
The
we
rockets.
all, once we see the lie, the rest of the lies just
Rockets.
become
No
so
man is
obvious.
on those rockets.
Right.
Go up.
And that's the problem. You got to first see a lie, some lie, any lie. And then once you see one, it's like going out mushroom hunting. You know, it's really hard to find that first mushroom, but boy, once you find the first one, you're like, voila, look at this, man, I'm surrounded by mushrooms. I had no idea. Look at this and this and this one. It's the same thing with going and looking down on Siesta Key Beach, which is near where I live, looking for shark's teeth, okay? You can't find a shark's tooth that save your soul, but boy, once you find the first one, it's like, oh my God, there must have been 10 billion jillion sharks in these waters, because there's shark's teeth everywhere, okay? And
Hey, Mark.
it's the same way with about lies. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rochelle.
Yeah,
It's
cake
okay.
is so large.
I wanted to tell you I don't care what they say about you. I like you.
Oh, thank you so much. I like it too. Did you have a preconceived notion? Had you already heard what they said about me?
Oh my goodness. I started working with someone back in probably March. Like right when I came to it. And he hated you. He turned out to be an asshole. Started talking to Sam. He didn't like you. He turned out to be an asshole. Started talking to Karen. She liked you, and she turned out to be a total sweetheart.
I really am a nice person. I just don't take any crap from anybody. So, you know, I got my haters, and I'm okay with it. I didn't come here to make friends with everybody. I came here to try to find the truth. So,
Well, Laurie knows that I've messaged her a few times in desperation.
well, not everybody's personalities are going to get along. I try very hard to get along with people, but once I kind of don't anymore and it becomes too much like work, then I'm pretty much done. And I just go away. And some people can't handle having your back there, you know, you turn your back to them. Plus I'm down with my new anarchy friend here, Cirrus, who I do not allow anyone to lead me, and I do not succumb to authority of any kind. And I believe what I want to believe based on my own judgment, and I'm willing to suffer the consequences and deal with the circumstances of whatever it is I think and do. But I certainly am old enough that I don't need a mother or a leader or a big sister or, you know, anybody to tell me how I should think, feel, talk, say, believe in, anything else. So, but I actually also extend that same belief system to anyone that I'm around. Believe whatever you want. I don't care. I mean, it doesn't bother me. Okay. I'm not going to beat you up if you don't believe what I believe. But don't even think about making me believe what you believe, because if it doesn't work, if it doesn't sound logical or it doesn't work for me, it's just not gonna. So we're going to part company, and that's that. And you can decide if we're going to part company badly, or if we're just going to part company and forget about it, you know? So anyway. So thank you for saying that. I'm glad I was able to overcome all of my obstacles that I had already put in front of me.
No.
Yeah, and you shouldn't believe what everybody else tells you, should you?
No, you shouldn't.
And that's really why I'm here. Is because it's like, well, I need to make up my own mind.
Yes, you do. And you don't need anybody to dictate to you. If you've got half a brain, it doesn't take much to figure out what's right and what's wrong. And, you know, I try to keep an open mind. I try to listen to people and entertain as much of a paradox as my mind can allow, even if I've already made up my own mind about what I think. I try to listen. And the minute, I mean, I got a pretty good bullshit detector. The minute something starts sounding like bullshit, I'm done, and I don't really need to hear anymore. That's why I said earlier, I don't need to hear any more about concave Earth. I don't need to hear any more stories about the globe, or space, or spinning and flying and any of that other stuff. I live on a flat plane. It is a realm of some kind. It's undefined. I have no way to define it other than adding up all the observations that I can and listening to as many different versions of, so something will click, which is kind of where I've arrived at now. I wouldn't have done that if I had decided months ago when somebody said, oh, you need to watch this time-lapse film of the North Pole where the sun's going around in a circle. I would just gone, total crap. It's fake. Don't want to see it. It's fake. Okay. But then once I watched, I'm like, how could that happen? If this were real, okay? So I had to entertain, how could this be real? What would be happening? What would need to happen for this to be real? Because I know I don't live on a spinning globe, and I know that the sun, which is one of the ways they faked this out. They faked this out that it was a globe because they used all the observations that we actually see. The spinning and the turning, and it's just everything's reverse of what it really is in explanation only, right? Not in reality. So, all right.
I just had a thought.
Okay.
We were talking earlier about four-dimensional Earth and the Pac. I know you don't like the word Pac-Man. It is
No,
kind
I'm
of
okay with it. I actually
Okay.
am embracing it now.
Okay, so the Pac-Man idea of you pop out the east and you end up on the west and vice versa. What if that's true with north-south? And that's how Cook was able to go so far south of Africa, and that's also why we see the sun in the south and the north when it goes out and back in, out and back in, out and back in, and
Yeah.
you're just seeing it literally through the four-dimensional north-south.
Why not? I mean, I'll go one step further. What if north and south are actually east and west? All you got to do on a compass is put an N on where the E would go, okay? And you wouldn't know the difference because all you've ever learned is that N is north, okay? N could just as easily be east.
For a phone compass, yeah, they have a way to make the actual magnet.
Yeah,
You-
but I'm
you
talking
can
about
magnet
the
the
whole
needle.
concept of a compass, okay? The concept of a compass is that the needle points north. The same explanation can be made that the needle is pointing anti-south, correct?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because they told you it's north, turn the map around, and suddenly east and west become north and south. And maybe the anomaly that we're looking at,
Isn't it even worse than that, though? Because I was watching a post about the colour violet. They're trying to take that colour out of the so that it's covered by the colour blue now. But what could be the poles? It's the colour violet carries this, and they're trying to remove it even from a rainbow.
it's like you need a decoder ring when you're listening to Karen. You know what I'm saying? You gotta wait for the pauses and the lagging to get the words what she's saying. Poor thing. I love to hear you talk. There's nothing I love more than an English accent. But this lagging is really, it's been challenging, Karen. And this is going to end up in a podcast. So those of you listening to this podcast, Karen really is a very good communicator. She's just got really bad internet. So, but yeah, I hear you about the blue and the violet and the magnetism, and I understand what you're talking about there. All I'm saying is, if they lied about this and they lied about that, there's no reason to believe that they didn't lie about this other thing. Okay? That's all I'm saying. I don't know that I believe that east and west is north and south. I'm just saying I've left my mind open that I could flip this whole thing around and it would still work and it would still be okay, and that north and south and compass readings really don't matter at the end of the day when you're trying to put the realm together. That's what I'm saying.
We could still use them to try and track things, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because it always is the same. Okay. I mean, I was taught how to use a compass when I was a little girl. My grandfather was a retired lieutenant colonel who would take us down. They had bought a little mini farm with 77 acres, and he would take us down in the woods and say, here's the compass. Here's how it works. Find your way home. We'll see you at supper. Okay.
Wow.
Just to make you learn how to use it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it works. There's no doubt about that. But it's interesting that somebody sent me a post the other day, a comment that they always lived, trying to think where, but it was like maybe North America, and they moved to Australia or something, or South Africa, somewhere opposite pole, and their compass didn't work very well. It was sluggish. So I don't have any explanation for that. I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if compasses wear out over time or if you have to have a compass for a certain location. I don't know if anybody knows, but
I know someone who had bought compasses when they were in Hawaii, and they worked there, but they didn't work here.
okay. So I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know why, but maybe where they're made originally has something to do with their power of attraction to the magnetism.
Yeah.
So other people say south is down, right? Because that's the globe thinking, that south is literally down, straight down from you to the core of the earth instead of the poles. Yeah. And that's why you have to hold it level to the earth for it to work properly. I mean, I don't know. There's so much information to learn and to gather and to compute and cross-contaminate into other things you're learning that...
We're pretty sure that England's lying on its side. The UK is lying on its side. England's light longer. And Devon, which is a county part, Cornwall are on the end of England, they go darker before me. Back from Denmark a few weeks ago, and I couldn't believe it when I was holding the compass in the plane, and it just said south.
Well,
and
so
Denmark's not south. Denmark's northeast.
Right.
But we just flew south, and then we came to England. It was just another tick for the fact that England was lying on its side.
Well, so this is one of those things where you go, okay, are these anomalies caused by magnetism, or is England literally on its side? And I have to think in my mind that England's not on its side. So these anomalies that are happening in the sky are observed differently because of, I mean, if we live in a tesseract cube, for example, that would explain a whole lot of things. You see what I'm saying? It's all about what's happening in our perimeter. What kind of house do we live in? Do we live in a hip roof, or do we live in a gable roof, or do we live in a, and no, we don't live in a dome.
Someone who's in Scotland and I, we've done quite a lot.
Only a bubble.
A bubble? Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't see the sky curving for a bubble, but they do call it a celestial sphere, and I know they do that for a reason. But anyway, all right. So let's wrap this up and kind of do a last thoughts from everybody, if you would like. What we usually do. So if that works for you, and I can't wait to do this again.
That's good then. I suppose it's just back to the information for people to come forward and give information, give some readings, try and have a tilt on their reading, and go for a sunrise. What we know you don't like the word sunrise, but a sun greet and a sun leave as much as they can. as early as possible and as late as possible.
Okay.
Pass this information on.
Awesome. Okay.
Eventually, in time, we will invite everyone who is sharing their email to be invited.
Cool. All right. Rochelle?
So they can record personally every time to the website instead of via Facebook.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we obviously have to get to a place where there's got to be an easy place to do a data dump. That's for sure.
Yep.
And maybe we could
Okay.
all sort of have another hangout in a few months' time or something, or a little bit time to say where we've got to with this information and stuff.
Yeah, I'm down for that. I want to continue to help push this along because this is the only avenue I know of that actual research accumulating will help collect into something visual, or at least something visible in our mind. Not that matters, because we're all still here anyway, but go ahead,
Yeah.
Rochelle.
I wanted to share just the pure excitement of it. I mean, we're taking stuff that we can observe, stuff that we can count on, putting it onto something that we can look at, looking at it, and then trying to come up with what would fit that. And so far, the best one that I've heard is yours. It seems to fit it pretty spot on, and I'm really excited to take a look at that. I'm really excited. And just to know that, I mean, we've taken something that was obviously wrong, debunked it, and started building something that's got to be right, because we're going off the stuff that we know to be true for sure.
Right.
Which is really cool, really friggin' cool.
Really cool. I mean, my excitement was waning. I was still going to be a flat earther till the day I die, but I mean, I couldn't figure out where are we going to go when we're so confused with this circle stuff. But there's a new, a person that's been following our research, Lawrence and mine, and then Ronnie was added not too long ago, and he has been a huge benefit with the celestial bodies information. And then John, who goes on YouTube by One Wilicki channel, he's the one who's good at using this programming Blender, I guess they call it, and it makes 3D. You just input the information and it makes these 3D renderings, video type renderings. And so he's adding in all the information that we've been collecting and debunking and so on and so forth. So we actually may be able to visualize something pretty soon. And so our excitement in the last hangout that we did, where he showed us a preliminary of it, just with using 4 or 5 or 6 photographs, I was like, yeah, finally all this work is sort of becoming visual. And if it's wrong, it can't be that far off wrong, because everything is just falling right into place, and we're not forcing it to happen. It just works. So that's pretty huge. So anyway, it was absolutely incredibly my pleasure to meet all 3 of you, at least virtually, and I look forward to doing this again. And in any way that we, from our camp, can help your camp, please ask. And again, anybody who has star, sun, or moon data that they would like to contribute to this effort, please, for now, send it to info@flatearthconspiracy.com, and we will forward it on as best we can. And stay tuned. Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Okay.
And thanks all the viewers and everybody in chat. We appreciate you joining us this evening. Bye.
Bye.